Paladin listeners. And Falcon Paladin. Special guest, as always.
Yes, quite a special guest. It is good to be here for another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour.
Mm-hmm.
I am glad that you make me a guest for every week.
You know, we really shouldn't have signed. I shouldn't have signed that contract that made you a guest because I have to pay you guest fees and appearance fees every week. And it's killing me. Killing me, man. I can't keep it up.
I know we probably should have had some kind of an agreement, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah. Anyway, yes, it is a wonderful Monday here. It's a Tuesday there. It is currently 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the Salt Lake Valley.
Oh, that sounds nice.
And it's going to be snowing tomorrow morning. So, classic March stuff.
It
Lousy
is.
smarch, as Homer said back in an early
Smart.
season of Simpsons when the writing wasn't terrible. So.
It's currently 22 degrees Celsius, or 72 Fahrenheit today.
Delicious. That is
Yeah.
a wonderful setup there.
Tomorrow will be 32 and 89.
Yeah.
So,
Roasty toasty.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alright, so, anything interesting happening in the world this week? The last week since I've seen you?
Some things.
Yeah,
There's
anything you wanna talk about?
been, you know, uh, let's see. I watched the latest episode of Invincible and Severance
Mm-hmm.
for the current season.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. So my current review of Severance is if the season finale for season 2 disappoints me, I'm not watching it anymore because they're on tenuous ground.
Oh, okay.
So no pressure, you guys. I know it's already been written and shot, but no pressure anyway.
Okay.
And Invincible is exploring a lot of themes that I'm interested in, and yeah, so I'll be continuing to watch it, even if the season finale is underwhelming. So there you go.
Mm. How come
Those are my reviews.
how come Invincible gets a pass even if the season finale sucks?
Um, I just feel like they're doing a better job overall. I think they're just doing a better job with consistent character development, with pacing, with stuff that I'm just interested in overall. I
Mm.
just think a lot of stuff they're doing is good, whereas there's a bunch of stuff that Severance is doing where I'm like, I don't understand this character choice. I don't understand this arc.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, as something that I'm trying not to spoil too hard here, but there's a scene where two characters, one who has a million questions and one who literally has all of the answers to these questions, stand in the woods for about 6 hours and no discussion is had, as far as we can tell. And it's like, so.
Were they being chased by
What?
monsters that would attack, find, and kill them if they spoke?
No.
Was
It's
it?
just they're standing there. There's nothing chasing them. They're not in danger. They're waiting for the sun to go down so they can go somewhere that they can only go to after the sun sets.
Okay.
It's literally it. So, yeah, just stuff like that. Just stuff like that keeps adding up. There's another
Mm.
character who had a really important arc in progress, and in this latest episode, they put him on a train and sent him away. Like literally, literally. It's like, ooh, this guy, he's up to all sorts of stuff. He's fighting the good fight. What's going on with him? And in this episode, they're like, he is on a train leaving town and looks like he's never coming back. So say goodbye to him. He's great, huh? And it's like, but, but,
But
he,
why?
but I thought he was important. Yeah, but why?
Turns out he's
So,
not.
like I said, not happy with Severance currently.
Okay.
But I mean, I've been reading some Reddit posts, and some people theorize that it's just kind of like the writers are a little bit inexperienced, and want they don't want to give too many answers too soon. They're kind of saving a bunch of the reveals for the final episode of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're doing what they're doing. Is because they're not skilled enough to write themselves around that problem without making it kind of awkward.
Mm.
So if they do end up giving us a bunch of answers at the end of season 2, and if we actually do a lot of stuff, and honestly, If they finished it up, if they finished the story here, I'd be like, thumbs up. You told your story in 2 seasons of like 9 episodes each. Kick ass. More TV shows should do this. I really don't think we need a ton of time to do a season 3 and a 4 and a 5 here, but it's American TV, and therefore I really feel like they're probably going to drag it out to like 5 or 6 seasons when they really don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, largely what I heard about Severance season 1 was like, if it ended here, I'd be cool with it. And the fact that they got a season 2 was like, well, okay, that's nice, but don't fuck it up. And they're on that way.
I don't know that I talked to anybody who watched it that said they'd be fine with this season 1 being the end of the show.
Really?
It's pretty friggin' cliffhangery.
Okay. I mean, that's just not what I heard, but okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But, I mean, to spoil a little bit,
Sure.
here's what I think is going on in Severance. I think all Severance is this company Lumen has basically discovered and developed this tech that allows you to sever the part of your brain, so that you can do unpleasant stuff like give birth to children or go to the dentist or have surgery, and you don't have to experience any of that stuff yourself. Your severed half does it. Okay, so they're trying to market this. It is a purely economic thing they're trying to do. And all the other stuff, the goats, the religious overtones, the scriptural weird stuff they're doing is just accoutrement. It is just for window dressing. It's just them trying to pretend they're more important than they really are. And all this stuff, their lore that they have, it's just made up and it's garbage. And they're just like any other capitalistic company. They're in it for the money. They're trying to make themselves seem more important than they are, and that's it. So I just feel like the show's probably going to end with our heroes kind of messing that all up, screwing up their ability to fully finish and develop the product, and then everything falls apart and they can't market it and everybody dies. The end. I think they could do that. I think they could end it here in season 2 with that having happened, and it would be a fine story.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I totally zoned out because I have Steam pop-ups enabled, so I have Steam open because I was playing video games earlier today, and on the bottom right hand of my corner of my monitor, I had Ram Russia is playing Age of Empires 4, and a picture of John Cena with like Xi Jinping haircut. I'm gonna send you a photo, and I needed to work out who this was.
Who this? Not who John Cena is.
No. Who on my friends list has done this?
Okay.
Turns out it's Laughing Games. So.
Oh, it's John Cena with a Mao Zedong haircut.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
So I've had to go and set him a permanent nickname so I don't forget who he is, because genuinely people who change their name on Steam, and I literally unfriended someone because it was called like Fist Me Harder, and I'm like, I don't know who this is, I don't want that in my friends list, I'm just going to unfriend you.
Yeah.
So,
fair.
But I've now since learned that there's a permanent, like, you can assign a nickname and it'll just stay that regardless of what they do.
Awesome. That's very funny.
That's my solution. Anyway.
Excellent job. Yeah. Laughing Games. Didn't know he was a Cena fan. Or maybe a Mao Zedong fan. One of the two.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'll have to ask him next time I talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else is going on? America's perception and reputation across the world is tanking for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, what do you feel about that?
I think everything's cyclical.
Everything's cyclical?
I think there have been times in American history where we've done things that have pissed off everybody else, and then it comes back around, and then we're everyone's best friend again, and then we piss everyone else off again, and then it's just been cycling through ever since we were founded, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't think this is anything permanent. I mean, honestly, in the next election, we elect someone else, and the policies change, and then France and England and Germany and Canada and Australia are like, cool, thumbs up, and we're cool again. Like, I don't think any of this is permanent.
Okay. So
what about you?
Do you think it won't be permanent or it can't be permanent? Those are two different points.
Well, cannot is a very strong word.
Well, I
I
mean,
would say.
the
So,
the
do I? It possible? Yeah,
okay,
certainly possible.
okay. So basically,
Yeah.
if next election cycle, what is that, 2028? Someone in the same vein of thinking, just continues to steer the ship in that direction.
Uh-huh.
We don't see a reputation turnaround.
Correct.
How long does it need to stay that way before it's just set in concrete and all those bridges are burnt?
There is no set in concrete.
You don't think
There's
so?
not. The American public are fickle and stupid. Effectively, we go, our life is not as good as it should be. I'm a vote for the other guy. The Democrats are in party now. I'm voting for the Republicans. And then guess what? Nothing gets fixed. Everything still pretty much sucks. And they go, I never. These Republicans are garbage. I'm voting for Democrats this time. And then they vote for the Democrats and nothing gets fixed. And everything sucks. And they go, fuck these guys. The Republicans can fix it. And it just goes back and forth forever. That's what we've been doing my entire life anyway.
Okay. That's
So eventually the American people will be like, it's the Democrats' turn to try to fix stuff. They probably won't. But by golly, they'll give it their best. They probably won't.
So you think a flip is inevitable next election cycle is what I'm hearing?
Not next election cycle. Sometimes it takes two.
Okay, so...
Like we have had presidents who have served 2 terms in a row.
That's
like
true.
Obama, for
That's
example.
true. I heard this current president is going to consider attempting to change it so that if you didn't serve 2 in a row the first time around, you could have another crack at it.
Yes, absolutely true.
Which would make him a 3-term president. Is he
Yeah,
technically
like
45 and 47 then?
Yeah.
Okay, so he gets 2 numbers. Cool.
He does. Yep.
Yeah, okay, but really what I was asking about the reputation wasn't what the American thinks. It's what everyone else thinks, because that's who has your reputation. Like, that's where your reputation is stored, is in the minds of everyone not American.
Sure, but minds can be changed. Mine change all the time.
Sure. You think another 11 years might set that a little bit in concrete, make it hard to, like... Do you think it'll be a sticky reputation? That's all.
So when George W. Bush was president and he was performing the war on terror in Iraq and Afghanistan, which was wildly unpopular with the world after the first 2 months. People were pretty cool with it for the first 2 months, and then they were like, no, we're out. Except for England, I guess. But most countries are like, screw you. And then he got reelected, and he served 2 state terms, and we were pretty unpopular with a lot of countries.
Yeah.
And then Obama got elected, and it was cool. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. He was friendly with everybody. He didn't invade any new countries. It was great.
Yeah, but America attacking a third party isn't the same as a trade war with allies. Like, those are 2 different things. Those things stick in the minds a little bit differently.
Yeah. So you're okay. Yes. So it's different, but it's got similarities.
Oh, sure. It's all set on Earth. It's all similar, right? Like, how silly do you want to get with it?
Oh, fuck you. Let's argue without being an asshole, please.
I feel like I was in the same vein as you there.
No.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Yep.
No, because my point is you're pissing off your allies. And you're like, well, it wasn't exactly a trade war. No, it wasn't, but it was pissing off Canada, and it was pissing off France, and it was pissing off Germany, all the same.
It was pissing them off, but a lot of these places still supported troops. I know Australia went to Afghanistan with you guys, or Iraq, right?
Yeah, at first, and then eventually the only people left was Great Britain. Everybody else was like, this sucks. What you're doing is wrong. We're out.
Yeah, Australia was there for a while. I think we were up there for a lot longer than, like, the first 2 months.
Okay, so 8 years? 9 years? 10 years?
Let me have a Google.
Okay.
For autocomplete, it is World War II. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
Australia's involvement in Afghanistan from 2001 to 2021.
Holy crap. Okay, Australia stuck around. You and Great Britain, man. You're our best friends.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, 2 of the countries involved were pretty okay with it.
Oh my god, it's starting to sound like you don't know what you were talking about there for a second, Falcon. Oh.
Perhaps.
Wouldn't that be the end of the world if you weren't perfectly knowledgeable on everything? God, that would just suck.
Are you saying I never admit that I'm wrong? It sounds like you're saying I never admit when I'm wrong.
No, I'm taking a jab at people who expect you to know everything all the time. I think you're allowed to be wrong.
What? Who? Nobody thinks I'm right all the time. That's ridiculous.
Not you. I'm you in the third person, like the royal you. Not.
Oh.
Like.
Like people who think they're right all the time.
Yeah, there's definitely people who think like if you have an opinion on a subject, you should know everything. And like, because I called out that you thought Australia was involved for like 2 months and then pulled out. You know.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we were that friendly. Holy crap.
Yeah, Australia was very friendly.
2021.
But, you know, we didn't hold long-standing grudges against America for it, right?
No, because obviously you agreed with what we were doing.
I mean, politically, maybe some people did. There's a lot of not.
The people in charge did.
The people in charge did, or they thought it was convenient to do so, right? Like, doing a thing that you don't agree with sometimes happens, you know?
Sending your sons to another place to die isn't exactly...
It's not their sons. It's other people's sons. It's the poorer people's sons.
Okay.
It's the people who don't have bone spurs. Sons.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Anyway. I just wanted to know how you feel if whether or not this reputation might be sticky. Because, like, you know, reputation... Like, Rome fell, and, you know... Eventually, like,
we're talking Roman Empire comparisons now. That's fun. We can do that.
I was doing that to be illustrative. Like, eventually, a reputation sticks around for long enough that upheaval change is different, right? You know, that happens.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, let's look for the next 3,000 years. Do you think America as a country, as it is now, is largely the same geopolitically? Holds the same land? Like, there has to be...
3,000 years?
Right, 3,000 years. And if you say, no, okay, what about 1,500? Okay, not 1,500, what about 1,000? Not 1,000? How about 500? You think it'll still be then? It's been around 3.
Yeah, that's the question, right? Yeah.
Right, so, like, that point is coming. I don't think it's now. I'm not a doomsayer, right? But you can't know where the first domino is, right? That's hard to tell in the moment, I feel.
Yeah, certainly true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in my lifetime, do I think we'll reach a point where our permanent position among the world is disrespected and hated, and we collapse as a nation and no longer exist?
Let's not say collapse. I'm saying where America's broadly aligned with the, you know, European, Australasian powers, that kind of stuff. We're all broadly aligned. Friendly, good friends, right? Do you see a point where that is not the case in your lifetime on a permanent basis, and you just go, well, yeah, I guess that's what it's like. You know, going to America might be seen as, I don't know, going to North Korea for a holiday. You can do it, but there will be government notices about how you shouldn't. Or how, you know, your insurance won't be valid if you do.
Yeah, for example.
For example.
I don't know. I mean, so that's the question of which countries are friendly to the U.S. on like a basically having a permanent basis. Because like England's a crazy good friend of ours and has been for a long time, but for the first while they certainly were not.
Yeah, like it took, and again that reputation changed, right? It flip flopped eventually, right?
Right, and France has always been on again and off again. Like they've loved us and they've hated us, and they've loved us and they've hated us, and we've hated them and loved them, etc.
And like Australia, we might not like this, but we also like 2 or 3 years ago signed like a $700 billion contract for you guys to build us nuclear subs. So you know we're pretty invested in you guys not, I don't know, tampering with those subs and keeping you guys friendly. I guess you know there are policies and things in play that will force politics to look a certain way between like other nations and how friendly they are. Like we're just not gonna bail on that because it would be really bad. You know, it would. Yeah. So that like it's a force that's gonna keep things together is what I'm getting at. Does that make sense? Do you feel like that's vaguely true?
Vaguely true. Certainly.
Vaguely true. Yeah.
I'll give that a vaguely true.
A vaguely true. But in other news, I have decided to stop riding my American-made motorcycle. So, you know,
interesting.
Well, I'm kind of joking, kind of not. So,
Okay.
What I will say is I was riding home from work the other day and I pulled up at a set of lights and someone was going to turn right, so they were next to me. And there was like maybe a 15-year-old girl in the window or in the passenger seat looking out the window checking out the bike. So I gave it a rev and it
Okay.
makes this really nice deep throaty vroom sound because it's a Harley. And she
Right.
big smile lit up and, she had a blast and then she turned and waved and it was perfectly good. People did not give a fuck that it was an American bike, right? So
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
being joking, but I have also decided I want something new. So I bought a New Zealand made motorbike, right?
Uh
Uh,
huh.
it is a FNT Street Dog. It is an electric little motorbike. It's going to be for commuting. And I'm going to keep the Harley for the weekends.
Okay.
So
So a little more cost efficient.
that will be, well, I mean, motorbikes are always
Maybe.
cost efficient. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's electric versus the price of petrol, which is like $2.30
Yeah.
a liter. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I'll throw you a link to their website and you can have a look at the bike. They only make one kind of bike, so, you know. they're limited to 50 in Australia for this run. They're just starting up as a production company, right?
Oh, cool.
I think they've got a couple hundred in
They're
New Zealand, but yeah.
they're hipster. Yeah.
They're very hipster. They're cafe races. It's nice. I like them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing basically I saw a thing where some French, I don't know, French politician was like, we should take back the Statue of Liberty, and I'm like,
That's a gift. You can't take it back.
yeah, what the hell, France? I, yeah, I'm kind of split on it. Like, I understand where they're coming from, but like,
Right. You can take back the spirit of the Statue of Liberty.
yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. I'm seeing reports of people in Canada like putting
Ooh.
American goods upside down on the shelves so that fellow Canadian shoppers know what's American and they don't buy it.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I know Canadian products have like a little Canadian flag in the shopping centers next to them, and so people have been making a more conscious effort to pick those products.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the talk? Like, I don't know. I'm getting a lot of my shit off Reddit, and most of it is from like r/shit American says or r/that happened, right? So I take
Yeah,
everything with a pound of salt, right? But
good.
I've been hearing a lot of like, hey, how about we just take Canada, or we just take Greenland?
Well, yeah, I don't know, man.
Any truth to
Effectively, I
that? You
believe
think?
Trump. Well, okay, so Trump has said let's purchase Greenland
Uh huh.
from Denmark, who owns it, and
Mhm.
if Denmark doesn't want to sell, I haven't heard him say like we're going to take it by force. So that's one.
Mhm.
I think it's a, I don't know, it's just a business option. I don't know why people are so mad about that one. Because I guess maybe they did interpret it as we are going to militarily take Greenland from Denmark, but I haven't seen anyone say that.
Hmm.
What does your Googling say?
Uh, I'm gonna like flip through this article and look to see if there's
Sure.
anything that's like, here's where he signaled that he would try to take it, you know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
other than just purchasing it. Because the article is from the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Seizing Greenland is worse than a bad deal. And the
Okay.
word "seize" there is okay. Hold on, I've got a link here. Trump has refused to rule out. Trump will not rule out force to take Panama Canal and Greenland.
Panama Canal, I have heard.
Mm-hmm.
Greenland, you got a link?
Sure. It's to Reuters. Here you go.
Reuters. Good old Reuters.
Yeah.
Ah. Did the thing where it gave me the link and I went to click on it and it's like, here's the photo. And it's like, you jerks. Just want the link.
Awful. Awful.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dun, 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 dun. I have heard him talk that way about Canada, though, like annexing and stuff.
mm-hmm.
So hold on a second. So Greenland
Mm-hmm.
asked at a press conference whether he could assure the world he would not use military or economic coercion as he tries to gain control of these things. He said, I can't assure you either of those two.
I can't assure you of
Well,
either of those two. I can't.
Okay, so there's military. and there's economic persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm totally out on militarily taking Greenland. That's
Uh-huh.
stupid.
Uh-huh.
I guess, is he talking about, like, setting tariffs on Denmark? So they're like, oh
Well,
no, we're getting hurt, so here it is?
yeah, that could be one thing, but I think economic coercion also is just like, I'll write you a big fat check. Like, I think that's also economic coercion.
Okay, do we have problems with that? Is that, like, dictator shit?
I mean, you can put money on a table, but if the other people won't come to the table, and you've said, I won't rule out force, then you're kind of implying that the money's on the table or force is on the table, right?
It's
And
the implication.
It's the implication, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. So yeah, Trump's saying a lot of stuff.
Trump's saying a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, hey, let's just have Greenland. Go for it. Let's try this appeasement thing. It's worked so well before in the past. He can
It
just
really
have
has,
He can have
historically.
Greenland. Russia can just have Ukraine. It's appeasement.
Yeah.
Right, let's stop there. It's fine. They're definitely not buddying up for a superpower combo.
Nope. We will call you Neville, is what we'll do.
I've never heard that saying.
Oh, so Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of England in the early days of Hitler's rise to power, firmly believed and publicly believed that allowing Hitler to take Poland would be the end of it.
Oh, okay.
And then Hitler took Poland and continued on, and everyone was like, Neville Chamberlain, you giant asshat, you're out. And now we're taking Winston Churchill, who is a asshole himself, but a bulldog of an asshole who will not let this happen.
So I have heard the name Neville Chamberlain.
Neville Chamberlain.
Not Chamberlain, Nemberlin. But I hadn't heard that expression. We'll call you Neville. I like that.
I mean, I made it up just now, but
I'm
glad you like it.
It sounded so witty. I liked it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky because I do think Trump says a lot of things.
He's the saying things guy.
He's old and his brain is falling apart like everyone who's old. And I don't know. I don't know that I take him seriously about Greenland.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
guess is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
Or the Panama Canal, or Canada.
Right. So I will say that there's a series on YouTube, which I can find you a link for if you want, called like the alt-right playbook. And it's basically a study of like the alt-right and how they, effectively branded themselves and market themselves and what they do as tactics. Take it with a pinch of salt. The guy who makes them is pretty left-leaning in the videos. Like, he's very much like, you should vote left because the right are fascists, right?
So there's American Democrat left. And there's like left in Europe.
He's American.
How left is he? So he's a Democrat left?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Anyway, the interesting video that I'm gonna find you eventually when I get to it is the playbook that the alt-right uses is to just say shit and so much shit, and in an environment where nobody can take you seriously, because if they think you're kidding, they won't do anything, and the people who don't think you're kidding will be there saying it with you, and they won't be able to tell if both of you mean it or not either.
Okay.
And that's how you grow a space in which to say things in which people just think you're kidding, and maybe he's just kidding about Canada, but the people who aren't kidding will support him there. And everyone will go, I think he's kidding, but we don't know until it's, effectively too late.
Sure, but I think it's more complicated than that. Because number one, yes, like random bullshit go. The Moon Knight meme, like, yep, that makes sense to me. But I think it's very possible for Trump to want something and say, like, I think we need Greenland and we're going to use military or economic force to take it, but not have the ability to follow through. Like, he'll forget, or he won't be able to outline a good enough plan, or you know what I mean?
It'll be the thing he's saying this week to capture attention, but next week it won't be.
Or that.
Yeah.
Or that. That's a third option. Is he's saying things to like rile people up and rile up his base, and he doesn't mean it. Right? That's another option. I don't know. But here's the thing. Like, Russia, for years and years and years and years, could talk about how Ukraine is Russia. How it's part of the empire. And everyone was like, okay. But, like, until they made a move on Crimea, like, no one could do anything about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you're saying at this point, voting him out or, like, taking a more immediate action would be the same as, like, policing thought crime? Right? He can think about it all he wants. Until he does something, it's just kind of ephemeral.
Kind of ephemeral. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like unless there are concrete steps taken towards those ends.
You think weakening
I
their
don't know.
economy with tariffs doesn't count as a step?
I think tariffs aren't illegal. There's nothing in the United States law that says you cannot enact tariffs on other countries, and if you do, you'll be kicked out of office.
That's true.
Not happening.
That's
It can be unpopular. People can hate it. It can be a stupid thing to do, and it can be harmful, but it's legal.
Right. Do you think
So
lying about the reasons for those tariffs makes it, there should be like, okay, well, it's hard to like, heck, if someone knows they're lying, if they think what they're saying is true.
sure is.
Because I have seen some clips and it's video clips, and those are a little harder to fake. A little, not a lot. Of him saying, like, oh, Canada has 250% tariffs on us, and it's been that way for years. And he's leaving out a lot of nuance there, which is the tariffs only kick in above a certain threshold from American imported milk or dairy products, and they've never hit that threshold, so those tariffs have never applied. And so doing your own tariffs is retaliation to their tariffs, which don't only exist on paper, there's no real way to like concretely respond to that other than to be like, look, the lie is lying again, please remember in 4 years.
True facts.
Yeah.
But I mean,
also that was his deal in 2018 or whatever.
Yeah, I get it. But it's a giant can of worms to be like, the president is lying to us because holy shit, that's happened with every president we've ever had. So are we saying he's lying more than the threshold allows? He gets this many lies.
Right.
But once he makes this many lies, he's out.
We want presidents to lie to us about the existence of aliens and, like, not policy decisions.
Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq?
Yes, that's the kind of things we want.
That.
We're okay with that. We don't want them lying about what kind of dairy we export to Canada.
Yeah, and unmanned drone executions of American citizens on foreign soil. We want them to lie to us about that. That's okay, but tariffs are where we draw the line.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see a logic where it's like, okay, we want him to lie to us about us. We're okay with that. We don't want him to lie about us to our friends or about our friends to us. That is technically a different thing. In your
Sure.
In my sarcastic, well, it's all set on the earth, so it's the same. Those are two, like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, what I'm hearing is things we disapprove of. Things a lot of people disapprove of. But here's the trick about the President of the United States of America. He's removed from office if both the House and the Senate say he's removed from office. That's it.
Yep.
If they vote, he's out. It doesn't. They don't have to prove it in a trial.
That's true.
They don't have to have evidence. If both the House and the Senate say he's out, he's out. So, if we get to the point, the House will do it. The House impeached him like twice already.
It's true.
Because it's all Democrats, effectively majority Democrats, right? The Senate is majority Republicans because, anyway, yes, we know how that works. So they're not going to remove him from office.
Right.
But that's the thing. All these arguments like what he's doing is wrong and what he's doing should not be allowed is like that's not how the president works.
Right.
So the closest thing we have now is Trump does something and then a judge, like a higher appellate court judge in the country goes, nope, can't do that. And takes it to court and says, you must legally prove why you have the power to do this. And so that's been happening. That's been getting pushback. But that's pretty much all we've got, honestly.
I saw something about that literally this morning.
Okay.
Where Trump decided to deport some people under a wartime provision from like the 1890s or something. And these people were deported to El Salvador with no trials or anything. And once they got there, they were put into labor camp prisons, and we don't know who they were. Like, they won't release names, and a judge just said, no, you can't do that. Any more flights have to, like, come back. And, like, there's basically, I think, legally, from what I was reading, again, on Wikipedia, not on Wikipedia, although that would be just as bad, on Reddit, is that there's not a whole lot you can do for the people that have already landed in another country. All the judge could do was stop them from doing any more, until they prove it, that, like, you can use this wartime provision that you're only supposed to be able to use on countries or citizens of countries we're at war with, and we're not at war with, like, Venezuela. So it doesn't really apply. Like, the last time it was used to put American Japanese citizens into internment camps. Like, that's the kind of law that we're talking about.
Right. If it's happening on U.S. soil with American citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, okay, so a judge blocked it, and that's kind of the best we can do. You can see how that would feel insignificant or inefficient, you know?
Yeah.
So there's some sympathy there, I feel.
Certainly, 100%.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. Like I said, we swap parties pretty frequently.
True.
And when the Democrats have been in power, they pushed through some stuff that the Republicans thought was evil and wrong and immoral and terrible and destroying the nation and causing major problems. And there was nothing they could do about it until they could elect their own guy to be in the position. And there's a famous line from Nancy Pelosi after Obama got elected that, like, elections have consequences. And she was right. And that is true all the time. It's that elections have consequences. The American people voted in Donald Trump again. He's doing some stuff. That's it. And if he has the approval of the people, he can keep doing it. That's it. It sucks if you disagree with it. But guess what? Half the country disagrees with whatever the president's doing anyway all the time.
True. Wow.
So the question is, has this... Yeah. So the question is, does this rise to a different standard, a different level of acts than we've had in the past?
Right, that is a good question. Does the deporting of unnamed, unknown people, potentially his political enemies, different to what the Democrats are doing? Like, is it above a different level what they were doing last 4 years? Is that the question, the point you're trying to make? Like, does it rise to a different thing? Like, is the deportation of people with no identity and no due process?
Yeah, right. And then people would argue that during the Biden presidency, the forced shutdown of businesses and the forced vaccination of people for COVID would reach that standard for them. They would put that on the same level of deportation of people without due process.
I'm not
saying I agree with them.
Or was it just, like, because of the implication you have to get vaccinated?
I mean, they didn't, like, drag you out of your house and jab you, no.
Like, they drag people out of their houses and put them on planes.
Right. Not like that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm maybe a little biased to this conversation.
I'm not equivalizing them. I'm saying for people on the right.
Right. There are people who thought that was just as bad or worse, and, like, it's all shades of grey for a lot of people, where it's like, well, we might be doing this, but you did that. Yeah.
Right, and it's back and forth, and nobody's right, and nobody's wrong all the time, and it's a mess. So, yeah, that's all.
Yep.
I voted for Harris, and I'll vote against whoever. If Trump manages to be allowed to run again, I'll vote against him again. Like, I don't know, dude. There's all these protests. Like, there's a 50591 subreddit that's been organizing protests in all 50 states over the last month or couple months. And it's like, it's nice, and there's great pictures of thousands of people protesting, and they have signs, and it's great. It's democratic process of making your voice heard, and it's wonderful. It doesn't do anything. Like, there's nothing that is happening because the people are expressing their displeasure about this thing.
Do you think these people are wasting their time doing it now, and if they instead did it in the last 2 months before election, when it could actually make an opinion on an effect on people's opinions before the polls, versus they've got a lot of energy for it right now because it's happening now, but there's not a lot you can do at the minute.
Right. I don't know. Because, did I make this point on the podcast already? I think over the last 10 or 15 years, American protesting has lost all effectiveness.
I think we talked about it on stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line for those of people who are podcast people is every protest since 2012 has affected in nothing. There were nationwide protests when Trump got elected. He served out his term. He's serving a second term. There were nationwide protests when Roe v. Wade got overturned. That's still overturned. There were nationwide protests when Trump was defeated in his election. There was a protest in D.C. that overran the Capitol. Did Trump get to come back for a second term consecutively? No, he did not. So every time we nationwide protest, we're expressing anger and dismay, and we really hate what's happening. And then the thing that we hate continues to happen forever with no change.
I'm going to try to Google when was the last effective protest.
Because France protests when they're talking about raising the retirement age from 63 to 65. Nationwide protests. They're burning stuff down. And however they're doing it, it works. They get it reversed. It's incredible. So, I don't know if we need to burn more stuff down.
Just to play the conversational opposing here. When, say, Black Lives Matter protests did burn things down, they were immediately labeled as riotous and homegrown terrorists and danger movements and stuff like that. There's been a willful attempt to make meaningful protests difficult to actually accomplish. And people should be probably pretty concerned about that, is what I would say.
100%. Concurred.
Yeah.
Concurred.
Yeah.
Part of the problem, too, I think, is that France is truly united when they protest. I think everybody was super pissed off about...
Nobody wants to work for another 2 years. Yeah.
Right?
So you just haven't had a unifying protest yet? Anything
Not
really bridges
Not in
the
a
divide?
long time. I don't know when the last time we had a unified protest was. Even the civil rights protest movements... That's a major effective series of protests for a decade that finally got civil rights legislation passed. That wasn't everyone. That was definitely not everybody.
Definitely not everyone.
No.
And it's just a fun factor, a quirk that I know, is that during that time, during those protests, is when something like 95% of all of the Confederate war statues were erected in southern states. And a few in the north, which is a bit weird. But, most of the statues that were up in public places outside of graveyards were erected during the civil rights movement instead of, right after the war.
During the Confederacy?
Yeah. So
yeah, I'd love to see a source on that. That's interesting. Okay.
It's a fun fact I remember from I know you love him, John Oliver bit. He did a story piece, and there was, he had sources. I can go watch the video and find those sources for you. But okay,
I still maintain that someone from another country coming to a country and telling everybody how they fucking suck is a stupid idea.
He's an American citizen.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, he is, but he's not. You know what I mean?
His citizenship doesn't count because he's foreign. Is that it?
Correct. An American coming to Australia and getting dual citizenship and telling Australians how much they fucking suck would not be well received, I don't think, right?
I'm trying to think if there's any examples.
Right? It's weird. That's all I'm saying. It's weird. But there's a certain segment of Americans who are totally cool with being told how much the country sucks because they agree. So he has an audience for it.
I think dismissively saying he's just saying the country fucking sucks really discredits what he does as like historical pieces. Like I think it's like if you watch him, he does say he loves America. It's just hey, here's this thing that's happening. It's you can't.
Does he
really...
ever talk about the stuff that he loves about America, or is it always here's
sure.
what is
truck
wrong
nuts.
about America?
No, truck nuts. He likes truck nuts.
Sarcastically, yes.
You don't know the secrets in his heart.
Yes, I do. There's not a British person in the world who looks at truck nuts and goes, "Ooh, that's for me." That is a low-class American and Australian thing to do, my friend. You know that.
Australia? I don't like truck nuts. I'll have you
Not
know.
you. Are there truck nuts in your country though?
No.
You've never seen truck nuts in Australia?
Maybe like once. But here's the thing.
Okay,
we can't.
boom.
We don't have truck nuts because we don't call them trucks.
You're being really pedantic today. Uh-huh.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the culture around them can't be the same. Because, like, what would we call them? Uties beauties? I don't...
That's genius. You come that, like, right at the top of your head? Is that where that came from? Because that's
yes,
perfect.
Yeah. That's Coley Neville. That's by Coley Neville.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Anyway, we are way off track here.
Look, okay, if a foreign person can't come to the country, work with American researchers...
No. Not can't. I'm saying it's weird.
Okay.
Continue.
Here's the thing. You think it's weird, but do you think he's wrong?
Oh, sometimes, but
Okay.
most of the time, no.
Okay.
I just look if he was an American,
Mm-hmm.
it just wouldn't be weird. It'd be like here's someone in the country who was born here and raised here and understands it as someone who has been here his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
That understands the good things and the bad things and is calling out a lot of the bad things.
Don't...
Like Bernie Sanders. Like Bernie Sanders does this a lot. He talks about the things that we need to improve and the things we suck at. But he's put in his bona fides, man. Like he was doing this stuff back in the 60s.
True.
He was part of the civil rights protests. Like I believe him when he's doing this because he believes in what he's saying.
Don't you think maybe him being from another country lends him an air of impartialness? Like he's not an American, he can kind of look at it less biasly than an American might, because like you do have to assume that any media outlet that's going to report on stuff like this is going to do it with a biased spin. But here's a British man. What's his spin?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of like a Frenchman went to England and was like, "Here's all the reasons that you need to improve." It'd be like they would burn him alive.
I think it was Richard Lionheart.
Ashes.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. They'd take him and they'd burn him, and his ashes would be tossed into the Thames.
Right.
Is what would happen there. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's a big enough audience in America that is okay with this, that he has an audience and people like him a lot. And I just don't know if that happens in any other country on Earth. Maybe Canada. I think Canada is pretty willing to do that. Like if someone from England showed up in Canada and was like, "Here's a lot of the things that you need to fix, Canada," they'd be like, "Yes, you're right about that. Here, be on our HBO." You know.
Sure. I'm gonna keep an eye out for non-Australians in Australia telling Australians what's wrong with Australia.
Please do. I would be interested.
Most of the stuff that I get is like Americans who have come to Australia and I'm like, here are 10 things that are different in Australia versus America, or here are 10 things that just make sense in Australia. And it's like, it's always like they don't tip, you know. It's
and
like, okay,
people love this. People are like, "Yes, this is the greatest thing. Tell us more.
Please reinforce our opinions, please." I actually no, I did see one of American being like, "Here's what's wrong with Australians," which is a lot of Australians go to the shops barefoot. They just walk around in like a shopping center or like a supermarket barefoot, and you know what? I agree. It's weird. Stop doing it.
That is kind of weird. Yeah.
It's a supermarket, please. There's fresh fruit. There's fruit out. Like, please don't walk around in your barefoot.
Yeah, but unless they're like stepping on the fruit, what does it matter?
Fruit sometimes gets dropped and picked up by other customers and put back without anyone seeing.
Okay, so you're saying that human feet
have intrinsically different germs than the bottom of their shoes. Yes. Also, I walk into the men's toilet wearing my shoes, and then I walk out onto the shop floor in those same shoes. That's now on the bottom of your feet. Like, come on, guys, it's gross for you, not just the store.
That's what I'm saying. From a perspective of it's a you problem, you are hurting yourself by doing this. But I don't know that it's necessarily hurting everybody else all that much, is what I'm trying to say.
Foot fungus is no joke. Athlete foot, trench foot, you can get it all in the supermarket.
But you get it if you're also being barefoot on the floor. So it's the barefoot people hurting themselves. I just don't know that the barefoot people are hurting the people that are wearing shoes.
What if I want to be barefoot at work one day, and you guys have just fucked up the floor? Actually, you know what? I have walked through the store barefoot. I have done that. I was riding my motorbike to work, and it rained so hard my shoes were waterlogged, and I was like, fuck this, I'm getting socks off the shelf. Mm-hmm. And so I had taken my socks off, put them in a plastic bag in my my bag in my locker, and then I walked barefoot to the aisle and got the socks off. So, you know,
okay.
Sometimes need must. When you're dropping your daughter off for work, true story, every day, you don't need to come in and say hello to the staff barefoot. You don't need to.
Nope. You do not. That is true. Nobody's making you do that.
No.
Anyway, back to the whole thing. So in short, I do not think this is a permanent thing. I do not think this is a harbinger of the collapse of the country. I do think we're swinging further on the pendulum than we have in the past. Mm-hmm. And I think if the American people are not cool with the swing, then we'll swing the other way in 8 years or so.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you for your opinion.
Yes, quite. You're welcome.
So let's move on to a happy, fun time land where there are no problems and everyone gets along and only good thing happens.
The best things.
The best things.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Pariah by Dan Abnett. It's Warhammer time, people. Warhammer.
It is. Warhammer time. 40k Warhammer, not the 30k stuff we spent like a year on.
We did. We spent a long time in 30k.
We did. It was good.
It
was a good time. Yeah.
Maybe we'll go back one day.
Maybe.
I
feel like I've got a pretty good handle on the heresy.
Wow. Is there anything outside the heresy happening at 30k?
Oh.
I know. I mean, we've read Infinite and the Divine, and there's definitely a scene that's set like in the middle of the heresy where Trajan's like, "Look, I'm collecting all these helmets. It's so fascinating." It was my sister's birthday the other week, and I gifted her that audiobook. So.
Oh, that's a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Anyway, Pariah by Dan Abnett. It's a Beckwin novel.
Well, this is complicated.
Is it a Beckwin novel?
Right?
It's a beta. It's a beta Beckwin novel.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Do you want to get there now? Just want to tackle this at this moment?
Yeah. Let's just talk about it as it comes up. We don't have to go through everything.
So, as far as we're presented in the book, by Eisenhorn.
What do you mean by Eisenhorn? What?
Somebody explained.
Oh! I think it was Medea.
Medea explains it.
Medea and Nail, I think, probably, yeah. Once they land the gun cutter. Yeah.
So they're like, so your mom was a Beckwin as well, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
She got just hanging out with Eisenhorn. He loved her. She ended up getting super damaged mentally because she was hanging out with him. Mm-hmm. She was in a coma.
I will... Okay, it's going to be hard not to interject, but I will point out that she gets this story also from, like, Kara Swall and Ravenor and all that. And the difference in the way that they tell that story of, like, Beckwin, which is... Gregor's very much like, oh, so what happened to my mom? And he's like, well, what happens to all of us in this line of work? And he's like, it's a fact of just nature. This happens to auto agents. And Ravenor's group are like, Eisenhorn did this to her, you know?
Right.
And two very different retellings of the same story. Both maybe with their merits, you know?
It is. So bottom line, comatose Beckwin mom is on a ship somewhere, and then she disappears.
Gets lost in the warp.
Which, you know, that happens. People get lost in the warp.
Yeah. But basically,
the story needs it to happen. That happens.
She was vegetable for a long time anyway. Like, she wasn't up and getting around. This is not a natural birth. She is effectively a clone.
Yes.
Effect.
Which, how, who, how, where, when?
Yeah, I mean, we have to just assume that somebody found her, or like found her body, or some DNA. Like maybe she had a blood reserve at like Eisenhorn's estate. When it got raided, there was like, oh, hey, we found Becklin blood. Let's keep that on ice just in case.
Yeah.
We don't know. We're not told in this book, but Beta here is a clone.
Right. Somehow. Like that's my whole thing about this. Is like she doesn't know anything about her mom, and she figures out later that like what she was told about her mom is probably not true.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets a different truth-ish about her mom, but it's really sketchy on the details.
Right, yeah.
And I just don't know how I'd feel about it if I was her. In fairness, she's getting told a lot of things throughout this entire book.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's one of them. And I don't know. Do we get there? Is that ever explained? Or is it just like, she's a clone of her mom, deal with it?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing here is, it's interesting that a clone inherits the pariah blankness from the original one.
Yeah, it is interesting. The pariah, it's always referred to as the pariah gene, which makes it a genetic trait. So you would assume it gets passed along, but pariah is also very rare. So it's like, how aren't there just like lots of them? You know?
Right. How over the centuries and millennia have they not propagated and passed the gene on over and over and over and over again? And now there's 10 million of them. Again, in the galaxy, that's not a huge number, but a lot more than there are.
Well, okay, so pariahs also naturally drive other people away. So finding mates naturally is probably quite difficult. And if you try to deliberately enter that gene strand into a population, you might just find lynchings happening of these people, right? That like.
What do you mean?
Well, pariahs naturally drive everyone away from them, right?
Yeah. Well, on some level.
Yeah, so how, like, it's very 40k to just be like, well, there were a pariah family here, but people hated them, and then they crossed the wrong side of the street at one point, and a local gangster was like, no, I'm not putting up with this, and they lynched them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I can see that as being very common.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be hard to propagate your species when that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So anyway, the pariah gene is genetic, and if you make a clone of a pariah, you get a pariah. I'm not sure that I didn't know that's how that. I don't think I knew that's how that works.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I guess it is. Right. So anyway, so she's. This is my favorite part of this whole story.
Oh.
Just the fact that we have a secret organization training children to be incredibly combat adept and assassins and
spies
and secret mimickers of existing people and all these incredible skills, and telling them they're doing it for the Emperor.
Yep. And
for the Holy Orders.
For the Orders, yeah.
Right?
Yep. And then I guess.
And then actually, no, that's not happening at all. It turns out.
They're the Cognite.
Right. They are working directly in opposition to the Ordos and the Emperor as much as you probably possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is, at what point do you flip that switch? And how often does it go terribly wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. What's the turnover rate of the Maison Deux?
And like, why not just tell them what your aims are at the beginning? Yeah, why not just be like, the Emperor is a dead demon god of evil. We're trying to counter him, and everything people think is wrong, and we're right. Like, people do that all the time. That's a very normal thing to do when you're putting children in your cult. You don't have to lie to them about whose side they're on.
Well, what if they're going to be triple agents? I don't know.
What?
Well, I mean, I can only assume that there's a reason for that. That, like, the Maison Du is, like, secret organization, but it's attached to the Skolem where the rest of the children are, right? It's just that at 10, they either go to work or they go to the Maison Du.
Sure, 10 is young enough. I promise you 10 is young enough to be like, here's your new worldview, 10-year-old. And they're like, I'm on it. Absolutely.
Not my point. My point is that the Maison Du is a physical place and a physical location physically known to all the people in the city, and the city is, broadly speaking, loyal. You can't just have a school, a wing of the school that's like, and here's where they go to learn the real history of the universe, you know?
No, I'm not saying you publicly tell everybody what you're doing, but you tell the kids, here's the truth. You're fighting for the right side, and we have to be secretive because holy shit, all these people are deceived around us. Not hard to do. Happens, I promise you, it happens every day in every country in the world.
I still think it's easier that if you're going to put a 10-year-old on a function where they have to go and live and you can't, like, watch them 24/7 and steal pearl buttons off Lady Periwinkle's favorite coat or whatever, that just indoctrinating them to have them think that they're working for the Emperor at all times is also very easily doable. Like, there's no downside to that.
The downside is, how many kids do you tell that they've been lied to their entire childhoods when they turn 18? And by the way, all that stuff you firmly believe about the Emperor and about the Ordos and everything is a lie. Well, that goes wrong so much more.
Well, as we learn, one of the other kids had a spider put down him, so maybe it doesn't matter because it's either they take the spider or they don't, right? Like,
so everyone who graduates gets a spider?
Maybe. The only person we've seen graduate gets a spider. The 8 for what they ate.
But there's only, are there literally only 8? Because there's a bunch of kids in the school.
How many kids? I think we only saw about 8.
You might be right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember them being like, and then there were 40 kids at the kitchen table.
There was no Harry Potter scene. It was like...
No, you're right.
And, like, maybe there's more kids. Like, there could be more than 8 kids, right? But they only need to replace the last person of the 8 when they, like, burn out or whatever from being a good demon.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. So, okay, so they just trick them until they're ready to leave the school, and then they brainwash them, and problem solved.
Yeah. Or
yeah. Okay.
Maybe the Cognite are double agents, and, you know, some Cognite schools and institutions really are working for the Emperor, and some have been set up not knowing that the Cognite are supposed to be evil, and, like, you know, just kind of accepted that. Not the craziest theory, you know.
It's pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy.
But not the craziest, no. It's Warhammer, man. Honestly, I would buy it. If they're like they're triple agents the whole time. I'd be like, all right, that fits.
Well, here's the thing. You can't tell who's working for who, because the entire book, written in Beckwin's perspective, has, I think, I was doing some reading, 7 different organizations or groups that are all trying to get their hands on her, and you don't know which of them are actually, like, the best ones for her, or good, or bad. Like, Eisenhorn's one in his little warband, and we already know whether or not Eisenhorn's a good guy is questionable at best.
Yep.
Ravenor, who wants her, but, like, wants to use her, so is that really good? There's the Ecclesiarchy, who want to sell her to the Word Bearers, or use her to learn Enuncia. There's the Emperor's Children.
So 2 separate heretical legions are here.
Yeah.
Very fun.
2.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's 3, but one of them's with Eisenhorn.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Forgot about him. Yep.
Then there's regular old Cognite. Who else is there? There's, I guess if you count the Pontius Claw lady.
Mm-hmm. She wants her.
Yep, she wants her. Because she can, like, find the City of Dust.
Yeah.
Who is the seventh?
And then did you already say the artist guy?
I kind of put him in with the Pontius Claw lady. The Claw.
Pontius Claw?
Yeah,
Mm.
they kind of
Okay.
working together. Remnants of the Maison Dieu?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
like
want her
Judica.
back, certainly.
Like Judica wants her back, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Right, and so... and what's fun about that is you're like, we don't know who's right or who's good for her or who's bad for her. And it's just like, it's entirely possible that everyone is bad for her. Like, there are no good options here.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly where I came away from it with. I was like, no one has your best interests in heart. Nobody does. Not a single person you talked to.
Nope.
So, like,
Good
luck.
Wow. Actually, no, there is a single person who has best interests at heart, and that's Lightburn. The Cursed.
Wow.
The moment he finds out that the person who sent him to collect her wasn't who she said he was, that it was actually plot twist and a live patient's kiss after she gets thrown out of a building. He was like, he was totally ready to stand up for it and get her out of there. No plan on where to go.
Yeah.
Just
You're
looking
right.
out for her.
And then he got his memory wiped, so he's out. So
Yes.
You're right. There was one person. They're gone now. Not good times. Yeah, I like it. I like giving it from the perspective of our poor little cloned Beckwin the entire time.
Poor little. I mean, she is combat ready and capable.
She's pretty murdery. It's true.
Yeah.
But I just mean from the sense that she doesn't have a friend in the whole goddamn world.
True.
Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But again, I just think from the story's perspective, I said this on the stream, but I like that every chapter ends and then we're back with Beckwin. Because most of the Warhammer books that we've read are like, there are 4 points of view here, and we're going to swap between all of them, and you're going to finish this story, this part of the story with this guy, and then in 4 chapters, he'll be back. Don't forget all this stuff. But in this one, it's just the Beckwin story the whole way through, which was really nice.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think it does a good job of just really putting you in her head. And honestly, I think she keeps an impressively level head throughout all of this. It gets her worldview shaken a lot. Many, many times throughout the story. She gets betrayed. She gets attacked. She gets lied to. She gets told horrible truths. Like, all this stuff happens to her. And, I mean, I do think maybe the average person would kind of just lose their mind at that point. Just kind of shut down and be like, I can't handle everything that's happened to me over the last 3 days.
But she's Cognite-trained auto agent.
Right. And so these people who lied to her in her lives and the tool spider really helped her for these 3 days. They did an amazing... Accidentally. Unintentionally. That was not... They were not like, boy, if everything goes bad for her, good thing we trained her this way.
It's also, as it's from her perspective, it's her writing like a journal or a diary or a report of some sort. So we also get her explanations or like her opinions on some of the weird shit going around the city. Like the city has histories of a saint that would walk down some streets or did on like a warpath, and now those streets are all just boarded up and nobody goes there, nobody uses them because they're holy streets now. And like giving the city's history and like 40k weirdness from Beckwin's perspective also makes it really interesting, because I feel like she's a little bit knowledgeable. She would have that history, and it's not just like, and now we're going to, I don't know, I don't want to say bad things about Tolkien, where it's like, all right, and cut, we're going to give you 600 words on the history of the kings in this location, and like, set the scene. But it's like, oh no, Beckwin can go in and be like, oh, I had to go play a function for this role here, this makes sense in this city.
and I can take this shortcut because I'm a blank and everybody ignores me.
Right. Except for
Yeah.
death row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Which I love. Like, again, and this is just giving us flavor to Beckwin's personality. She's like, huh, that guy, what is he, a warbound? Is that what they call him?
Warblind.
Warblind.
Yeah.
That warblind can see me. Let's go see why. And it's like, what are you doing? How is that your first plan of action?
But, I mean, you gotta, like, what's the advantage of running? It can probably chase you down. He has a dog. She runs through that in her mind. Like, I might be able to outrun him, but not the dog. Right? If he wanted to attack, he would have done so already.
Can't handle a dog. Remember, she's ordo-trained. She's cognate-trained.
It's a cyber mastiff. It's like, it's huge. It's like a small pony or a big pony. I don't know. How big's a pony?
I'm just saying, she takes down some pretty big stuff in her time.
It's true, but
this book.
This was while she was on her way to be Loretta Rayside, collectible appraiser or something. She didn't have any weapons on her.
Yeah.
All she had was a cuff. Yeah.
Just saying, there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat she displays in this book too.
That's true.
Harder to deal with a giant cyber dog with your hands.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, and I do like that you start off the story with like, okay, this person, who is this person? What's going on? And the first story you get is when an agent, an inquisitor, wanders into the school
an interrogator,
alone.
yeah.
An interrogator shows up alone in the school and is like poking around out in the open and gets challenged immediately in a fight to the death and is killed.
Yep.
Like, I get from a character growth perspective, it's kind of it's a good moment for Beckwin. Like, she grows a lot, she begins to ask some questions, it's good for her arc. But never, ever have I ever seen an interrogator wander into a potentially dangerous place by themselves and start being like, poke my nose into everyone's business.
So isn't it like exactly what Patience Kiss did like a year later?
Yes, in the same book.
Yeah. So
everyone is stupid.
It's a thing that they do, I guess. Like,
only in this book it is. I'm just saying.
In the
for
Magos,
story purposes.
In the Magos, Gregor sent that woman to go and poke around, on, I'm going to call it Drusha's planet.
Yeah, fair.
And she went and poked around and got captured. You know? It's a thing Inquisitors do. They send out agents to investigate. And sometimes that means breaking and entering into a building filled with people in the middle of the day.
Right. I don't know, man. I just felt it was really stupid.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's dangerous work.
Yep.
The other thing is, so especially with anyone attached to Eisenhorn, not one of them even attempts to say, hey, I knew your mom. Come with me and I can tell you about her. Nobody tries that. Patient Kiss is like, doesn't even say that she wants her. The only reason Beckwin knows that she wants her is because she's not killing her. Kiss is trying to grab her. She's like, that's weird. Why is she doing that? And I'm like, Patience, tell her what's going on. It's not that hard. It's like one sentence.
Right.
Honestly, I knew your mom. That's 90% of the work at that point. And if it doesn't work, and if she's like, I don't trust you, you're a liar, you tried. I just wanted someone to try. That's all.
Okay.
Not one person does. Eisenhorn doesn't try. Kiss doesn't try. It's insane. Nail doesn't try. They're all just like, come with us, girl. And she's like, what the hell? Why would I do that?
I mean, a lot of the situations are like, okay, we're fighting off people. Nail jumps in, kills a guy, and she's like, well, I could help him fight the rest, or just bail, you know?
Yeah.
Not a lot of time there to be like, hey, Beckwin,
She has enough time to say, stay there. I need you to come with me. How about this? I knew your mom. I can tell you about her. Stay there and come with us. It's an extra 2 seconds. He had time.
What if all of these people are like, well, this isn't really my place to talk about her mom. Like, that's like her mom was like in love with Eisenhorn, and Eisenhorn should really
Yes.
be the one. That's him. I don't want to step on his toes.
He never does either. He never does either.
Yeah,
He sees her from a heretical space marine, puts into her mind to run, doesn't think about dropping into her mind, hey, by the way, I knew your mom. She was awesome. I'll find you later. I can tell you about her. Doesn't do that.
He uses the will in the heat of a battle against the Astartes to not info dump about why he's here, but just to get her out of the bolter range. You know?
I know.
So she doesn't turn into meat spaghetti.
I'm just saying he was there. He was in her immediate vicinity.
I feel like if you're in an active combat zone like that, like heretic space marines, personal bodyguards of rich collector assholes are trying to kill you, you don't have time to be like, hey, by the way, I knew your mom. Do you want to like try to process that now?
There's no processing. There's no processing. I knew your mom.
There is processing.
Let's talk about her. Stick around. That's the other thing. If you are just in a position where you can just take her, fine. Don't tell her anything about her mom. You don't need to. You got this. But every time you're fighting for your life and she can just run away because you're incredibly engaged with someone who can kill you. So at that point, I think it's more important to try to convince her to hang around.
To take the time to talk to us so the people you're trying to fight can kill you? That seems like a poor choice. It's like, hey, I knew your mom. Blah.
I already said you're being contrary for no reason right now.
I don't feel like
they have conversations with her anyway, and nowhere in those conversations
they don't have conversations. They
do.
They're not conversations. They're more like orders. Run, Beckwin is not a conversation.
Yeah, stay here. Don't go anywhere. Could be replaced with "I knew your mom. Stay here." Easy. No. Exact same number of words.
No, because then she'll want to have a conversation and Nail gets stabbed. It won't help.
She'll wander into range of the enemies and get stabbed because she's an idiot.
Or Nail gets stabbed, right? Like,
no. She is smart enough to recognize that doesn't mean right now.
Well, here's the thing.
It means later. I can tell you some things as long as this guy doesn't stab me in the face.
I mean, okay, that's maybe the best possible outcome. What happens if you go, hey, I knew your mom, and she goes, my mom died and is buried in the swamp. This guy's trying to manipulate me. I'm going to stick around and see if these guards kill him, and then when his back's turned, I'm going to kill him and then leave.
Entirely possible. So, but also, I knew your mom isn't in direct contradiction with my mom died in a swamp.
Right, but like making that important feels like, okay, you knew my mom. Where have you been for the last 18 years?
Great question. Legitimate question. Again, if you'd written it in a way that Nail tried and she was like, fuck you, I'd be like, cool. That's a legitimate response. I get it.
I feel like you're ignoring there are a lot of good reasons not to do it.
For every single person in the retinue. No, there's Nail, there's Eisenhorn, and there's Patience Kiss.
There's three. Okay, but
three people.
Kiss can't do it because she was just caught breaking into her home. It's like, hey, I knew your mom, so I tried to sneak in by floating myself around. Not a good time to be like.
Medea broke into her home and tricked her for a long time, and then said, "I know about your mom," and she was like, "Oh, I love you so much. You're my best friend in the world."
Medea
didn't see how well that worked?
Medea didn't break into her home. Medea
snuck into the home under false pretenses, just like Kiss did.
No. Medea pretended to be her maternal instinct in her orphanage for 18 years. That's totally different.
Yes. You're losing this argument, though.
I mean,
just so you know.
Beckwin even like comments on that later, when it's like, "Well, I don't think I can trust her anymore because she was like performing a function." But when they talk, eventually, there's no breaking in, because it's when the gun collects in, isn't it? When does Medea break into anything with?
She, under false pretenses, joins the Cognite.
Medea?
Yes.
Oh, when?
She's the. What are you talking about?
She works at the orphanage next door from when they up to when they were 10. She doesn't work at the Maison
She
Dieu.
wasn't at the. She wasn't at the Maison Dieu.
No. She was at the Skolum next door.
Oh.
Because that's why
I
she
missed
doesn't.
that distinction.
She doesn't refer to her as like a one of the prefects of the teachers or whatever. She's like, I only get to stop in and see you every so often when I'm on my way back from a function, because she like hops the fence or whatever. And they're like hanging out laundry, and that's where she's like, oh, and there's this new woman who's definitely not Patience Kiss in a habit, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So revising, under false pretenses,
Raising the argument now.
As a child. No, it's the same point. Under false pretenses, she pretended she was somebody else in Beckwin's life for 10 years or whatever it was.
I think, well, given that this person's a clone and we know her mother didn't actually die and leave her an orphan, it's probably her entire life.
What do you mean? She went to the Cognite school.
No. When she went to the Skolum as a child, like they were like, "Hey, we're cloned this person. She's 2."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably how long Medea's been pretending to work at the Skolum.
Yes.
Yes. Her entire life.
Yes.
Not just like since she was 10. So 18 years.
No. From 2 to 10.
From 2 to 10, and then after that,
yeah,
intermittently when they got the chance. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, sure.
So I'm just saying, the point is that
at no point did she say, "Hey, I knew your mother, by the way."
She did not. So that's 4. But okay, and so this is a sidetrack, but just the fact, like, what is Medea waiting for? Like, she is sent there specifically to try to find Beckwin after freaking Eisenhorn's torment vision that he has, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, Medea found her pretty early in this story. And then they were like, no, well, keep working there. No.
Yeah, she's just there to keep an eye on her, and hopefully that Beckwin can then later lead them to the King in Yellow. And whatever the program is doing for the Cognite here, that's she's like waiting for her to graduate and then follow her to do whatever it is she's gonna do then. To like where she eats a spider. Like that is the plan, as far as I can tell.
What a great plan. Again, just using her. Nobody cares about Beta Beckwin. No one gives a shit about her.
Nope. Except for poor old Lightburn. Who's
supposed to Lightburn until his mind gets wiped.
You know who does, I feel like, care about her right at the end of the book? Cherubael. Cherubael.
That was funny. But also, no.
Tears are good. It's good that you're crying. Let it all out, sweetie.
Cherubael is terrifying, man.
He is.
He's a scary, scary demon. They're all pretty scary, to be fair.
True.
Anywho's. So I think we've nailed the spirit of the book. I think it's just generally Beckwin getting torn in different directions by different groups who want her and do not care about her in the slightest.
I mean,
and then the book ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe they do kind like Gregor's not exactly a feeling person. I think he's caring for her as best he can, right? He's still using her because he's Gregor, right? And he used Beckwin and has no compulsion about that either. Back in Xenos and like OG Beckwin, I mean.
Yeah. So there's different levels of using, right? You can use someone and still care about them as a person. But then you can use them and not care about them as a person. Right. Do you think Eisenhorn cares about Beta Beckwin as a person?
Yeah.
You do?
I mean, he sent Cherubael to rescue her from Ravenor. That's kind of... He put...
But he needs her.
Yeah, but he also cares.
I don't know that he does. Yeah. I think insofar as she is what's left of the woman that he loved,
yes. He cares about her. That's my point.
That's not it. That's not who she is. That's who her family was.
But I think Beckwin in his Torment Fever dream told her, "Hey, go save my daughter," and that is going to compel him to care about her as much as possible.
I don't see it.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah, could be wrong.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, could be wrong. How did you feel when they're in the old house, and they're like, she keeps hearing like little children laughing, and she's like, "Are there children here?" And she's like, "How did you know?" Like,
Yeah.
Did you think this was like another little puppet kind of children thing, or
I figured it was a demon thing.
a demon thing? You didn't think it was?
I didn't think it was a rerun of the puppets. No.
No, but you didn't like. That means Emperor's children, because haha, it's a clever play on the word children.
It did not. No.
Okay.
I didn't get that at all. No.
How did you feel about this Emperor's child?
Solid Emperor's child. I think 10 out of 10. I think
Teke, the smiling one, he's good. He's a good little.
He's a good character, and he fits perfectly into the archetype of an Emperor's child. He is perfect. Yeah.
I make this point because there's 3 different kinds of traitor space marines here, and it would be very easy in a 40k book to be like, these all feel very vaguely evil, all the same. But Teke is different from Death Row, and Death Row and Teke are both very different to the Word Bearers. And like.
Which makes sense.
And it makes sense. And, like, they don't even know about each other, right?
Right, right.
Teke finds out there are word bearers here, and he's like, "Oh, really?" Right? And he pulls the mask off Deathstone, and he's like, "How can you be here?" Which is an interesting phrase for someone who's claiming to be Alfarius, because it's like, how can you tell... Like, the Alpha Legion will make themselves look the same. How can you be here feels very pointed. Like, he recognizes this Alpha Legion? Maybe it is Alfarius.
He's not Alfarius. No.
He said his name
what
is
do you
Alfarius.
Mean? What? Because they all say they're Alfarius. How can you say, well, he said he was Alfarius? That is not a serious sentence you can actually utter, Somicron.
You don't know that? He might
Stop messing around. No.
Maybe he's Alfarius.
Look, no. That's fine. Maybe he is Alfarius. Fine. Acceptable. But you cannot say, you said he was Alfarius, so he is. That's not how this works. Dude, you know how I react to anyone who says I am Alfarius.
I
rolled my eyes into the back of my skull as far as they could go.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when you read that.
So yes, recognize a member of the Alpha Legion as an individual within the Alpha, entirely reasonable thing to be able to do. Freaking John Grammaticus could do it. He's just a regular dude. Mostly regular dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I did like the new lore update that pariahs can use Enuncia and it doesn't murder.
Right. Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. Like, she does the final Enuncia word, and she's like, I kind of accidentally bit my tongue a little bit. And everybody else is, like, exploded.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. It was very funny.
I will say, Beckwin is this really smart, really capable, highly trained Cognite agent. But the Archdeacon or whatever, he's like this hugely overfat guy with a melted brain from holding too many secrets. Tells her, I need you to tell something to Thorn. And then, literally like a day later, she's like hanging out with Eisenhorn, and he's like, Thorn wishes Raptorous Beast below using his highly advanced Glossier techniques. And she does not put 2 and 2 together about him being Thorn, and like, you have shit to tell this guy. Which obviously, like, that's pretty near the end of the book. So like,
yeah,
next book she'll work it out. You can kind of probably guess that. But I feel like the way she's trying to put information together, that should have been a bit quicker.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. She's been through a lot, in fairness. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's true.
A lot. A lot. She has a rough couple of days. Yeah. So other than that... think that's about it for Pariah. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything else I really want to cover. I mean, I guess, like the poor Pontius Glaw family member lady,
Mm-hmm.
who's like desperately trying to hold on to the former glory of her family, which we know a lot about,
Mm-hmm.
and tries to think that she's important and part of something here. And the
Oh,
Emperor's Children
poor
guy is
lady.
just like, nope,
Nope.
absolutely not. You are entirely expendable. You've been trying to find the City of Dust forever, and you haven't been able.
Yeah.
Beckwin girl shows up and does it by accident in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You're worthless. And I was like, that sucks. That's why you
Mm-hmm.
don't ally yourselves with demons, man.
Yeah.
Never goes well in the end.
I mean, is he a demon? I don't think so.
He's aligned with demons.
He's aligned with demons, yeah.
So
So
sure.
okay, I will touch on one more thing, which is did you spot the Shakespeare reference in this book?
I don't think so.
So the city is called Queen Mab.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Queen Mab is a reference from Romeo and Juliet. Mercutio describes Queen Mab as the fairy's midwife, which is something that like rides her chariot over the bodies of sleeping humans through the nighttime to help them give birth to their dreams.
Uh-huh.
If we consider that the entire city is the King in Yellow's city, like playground, domain, Queen Mab is literally giving birth to like, I don't know, cognitive trained auto agents for the King in Yellow's program. I think that's a neat little touch to call it Queen Mab.
That's a good one.
If that's his dream. So that's a fun little, I don't know, inspiration I guess Dan took from Shakespeare.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is that I know Queen Mab from the Dresden Files.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because she's effectively like the queen of the Fae.
Okay, yeah.
In his world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Wikipedia says Shakespeare may have borrowed the character of Mab from folklore, but this is debated, and there have been numerous theories on the origin of the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so effectively, there are Irish legends about a queen of the May, of the Fae, that date back, that predate Shakespeare, but he seems to be the one that originally the name Queen Mab. So
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
it's neat.
Good stuff. The other thing is the identity and what or exactly who the King in Yellow was a very big topic, right?
Yeah. I can tell you that there's more on that coming.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can don't go to the wiki. Just wait.
I won't. I never wait. Sometimes I do. I won't for this. Yeah. Well, so, and then I think somebody says Eisenhorn himself could be the King in Yellow.
Right. Ravenel thinks he might be the King in Yellow. Yeah. Who's like
how? Because the people that are working for the King in Yellow are like, fuck, Eisenhorn is here. Like, that's not how that would go down.
But Ravenel doesn't know that. Like, no, Ravenel didn't have any
he's
people
just
at the church.
completely wrong.
Yeah, he's just completely wrong. And, like, Beckwith even has the theory that Eisenhorn might be the King in Yellow and says that in front of Eisenhorn and Nail, and Nail nearly wets himself laughing.
Right. Yes, that's true. Okay, we'll get more into that.
Yeah.
All right. Next book.
Next book is Penitent by Dan Abnett.
Penitent.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's pretty good at being like, hey, here's the next book in the series. You should buy it. It's not doing it this time. I'll grab it.
Penitent. Dan Abnett.
Penitent. Is this just entirely another Beckwin story?
Yeah, it's all from Beckwin. This is Beckwin's trilogy.
I know, but it was we've had 2 trilogies from Ravenor and from Eisenhorn. Got other people's perspectives throughout those.
True, but didn't the first Eisenhorn book at least entirely stick to Eisenhorn's perspective? Like, it's all first person from him? I think it was.
I don't remember. It may have.
So,
It says 2 of 2. Is this a trilogy?
yeah, I was hoping to not have to break that to you. This trilogy isn't finished.
Huh?
This trilogy's not finished yet.
Oh, it's in process.
Yeah, so Pariah came out in 2012.
Uh-huh.
Penitent came out in 2021, which means we
Uh-huh.
might only have to wait to 2031 for the next book, which I think will be...
Holy crap. Okay. This is
Yeah.
a freaking Stormlight Archive situation on our hand.
Yeah.
I shared this in the Discord server, but my daughter, who's 12, has been reading the Stormlight Archive. She's finishing up the most recent release from December, and she was Googling, when's the next one out? And it's like 2031. She was like, I will be graduated from high school by the time this book comes out. I was like, sorry.
Yeah, just...
She was very mad.
I mean, you just need to like position that as like think of it as an opportunity to reread these books later.
Yeah, you might need to start now with the reread to be done by 20 big books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, noted.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. It says book 2 of 2. I guess it's fair. There's only 2 books now.
Now, yes.
Yeah, yeah. All right, good. Man, what a pod today, huh? The big one.
Yeah. Huge.
Huge.
Ooh. Should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's do. All right. Thanks for being here for another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour, where we talked about TV shows and current day politics and Warhammer. Never know what you're going to get over here, but usually Warhammer.
Usually one.
Yeah, thanks for watching live at twitch.tv/Somicron or watching the VODs at youtube.com/@Somicron and by supporting the podcast directly by either subbing over there, being a member over there, or by being a Twitch subscriber at twitch.tv/Somicron, or you can also go to patreon.com/Somicron and pledge there or buy merch at falconpaladin.store. So thanks again hanging out. We'll catch you next week at about this time, so mark your calendars. And until next time, as always, thanks for hanging out and being here, and you take care of yourself.
Bye.
Bye.